Ruth Together, online service, January 31st, 2021. Imagine, create, discover, a faith journey through poetry. Our welcome this morning is from our music director, Sean Garner.
Hello, and welcome to the online service of the Rogue Valley Unitarian Universalist Fellowship, which we call RUF. My name is Sean Garner, and I'm the music director at RUF. I am glad to be a part of this community, which continues to support one another in difficult times and expresses its values through committed action. During these times when we cannot safely meet together in person, our online services are a way of connecting and continuing to keep the mission of this congregation and our association alive, both in our lives and in the world. We're glad you're here, and we ask you to join us in embracing diversity, empowering connection, and engaging in the work. Each week when we gather, we acknowledge that the land on which we live is the traditional home of the Cow Creek Umpqua, Takelma, Shasta, and Lagawa peoples. We remind ourselves that Indigenous people are part of our communities and continue to experience the effects of colonization and conquest. We're committed to fighting for the worth and dignity of Indigenous people in our community and around the world. We also commit ourselves to work for a world in which the lives, bodies, dreams, and leadership of Black people are honored and respected. We remind ourselves each week that we must put our words and our principles into action every day for justice and the common good. Welcome, and thank you again for being with us.
But it isn't easy, said Pooh, because poetry and hums aren't things which you get, they're things which get you, and all you can do is go where they can find you. A. Milne, House at Pooh Corner. Our opening song is Gathered Here by Phil Porter.
Gathered here in the mystery of the hour, gathered here in one strong body, gathered here in the struggle and the power, spirits draw near. Gathered here in the mystery of the hour, gathered here in the mysteries of the body, scattered here in the mysteries of the hour, gathered here in the mysteries of the body, scattered here in the struggles and the body, scattered here in the struggle of the power, scattered here in the mysteries of the power, gathered here in the mysteries of the body, scattered here in the struggles and the body, scattered here in the struggle of the power, spirit draw near.
The Celtic pagan festival of Imbolc is celebrated at the beginning of February and sacred to the goddess Brigid. Brigid is the goddess of poetry, of midwifery, and of smithcraft. Our chalice lighting words reflect on her holiday by Theo Bishop. On Imbolc, we recognize the primal fire within us, and when we speak from that place with a clear, honest voice, beautiful transformation can occur. Poetry is born. It is our gift from the goddess, and it in turn is our gift to the goddess. Poetry creates change. It is alchemical. It is magical in the traditional sense, but it is also available to each of us, regardless of our training, our initiation, or identifiers. We need not be professional poets to be poets. We can be poets simply by speaking truly of what we know, of what we feel, and of what passions move us to act or be still. We are poets because we each have words on our tongues, in our hearts, and on our flesh. When we release these words into our bloodstream, through our sweat, into the air, and onto the page, we participate in the re-enchantment of the world. As Catholicism absorbed the traditions of the Celtic pagans, the goddess Brigid became Saint Brigid, whose feast day is celebrated on February 1st. We light our peace candle with her prayer. Saint Brigid, you were a woman of peace. You brought harmony where there was conflict. You brought light to the darkness. You brought hope to the downcast. May the mantle of your peace cover those who are troubled and anxious, and may peace be firmly rooted in our hearts and in our world. Inspire us to act justly and to reverence all God has made. Brigid, you were a voice for the wounded and the weary. Strengthen what is weak within us. Calm us into a quietness that heals and listens. May we grow each day into greater wholeness in body, mind, and spirit. Amen.
Peace, salam, shalom. Peace, salam, shalom. Peace, salam, shalom. Peace, salam, shalom.
Our story this morning is Frederick by Lionni. All along the meadow where the cows grazed and the horses ran, there was an old stone wall. In that wall, not far from the barn and the granary, a chatty family of field mice had their home. But the farmers had moved away. The barn was abandoned and the granary stood empty. And since winter was not far off, the little mice began to gather corn and nuts and wheat and straw. They all worked day and night. All except Frederick. "Frederick, why don't you work?" they asked. "I do work," said Frederick. "I gather sun rays for the cold, dark winter days." And when they saw Frederick sitting there, staring at the meadow, they said, "And now, Frederick?" "I gather colors," answered Frederick simply, "for winter is gray." And once Frederick seemed half asleep. "Are you dreaming, Frederick?" they asked reproachfully. But Frederick said, "Oh no, I am gathering words, for the winter days are long and many, and we'll run out of things to say." The winter days came, and when the first snow fell, the 5 little field mice took to their hideout in the stones. In the beginning there was lots to eat, and the mice told stories of foolish foxes and silly cats. They were a happy family. But little by little, they had nibbled up most of the nuts and berries. The straw was gone, and the corn was only a memory. It was cold in the wall, and no one felt like chatting. Then they remembered what Frederick had said about sun rays and colors and words. "What about your supplies, Frederick?" they asked. "Close your eyes," said Frederick as he climbed on a big stone. "Now I send you the rays of the sun. Do you feel how their golden glow?" And as Frederick spoke of the sun, the 4 little mice began to feel warmer. Was it Frederick's voice? Was it magic? "And how about the colors, Frederick?" they asked anxiously. "Close your eyes again," Frederick said, and when he told them of the blue periwinkles, the red poppies and the yellow wheat, and the green leaves of the berry bush, they saw the colors as clearly as if they had been painted in their minds. "And the words, Frederick?" Frederick cleared his throat, waited a moment, and then, as if from a stage, he said, "Who scatters snowflakes? Who melts the ice? Who spoils the weather? Who makes it nice? Who grows the 4-leaf clovers in June? Who dims the daylight? Who lights the moon? 4 little field mice who live in the sky. 4 little field mice like you and I. One is the spring mouse who turns on the showers. Then comes the summer, who paints in the flowers. The fall mouse is next with walnuts and wheat. And winter is last with little cold feet. Aren't we lucky the seasons are 4? Think of a year with 1 less, or 1 more." When Frederick had finished, they all applauded. "But Frederick," they said, "you are a poet." Frederick blushed, took a bow, and said shyly, "I know it." Our 5th Sunday offering benefits the Minister's Discretionary Fund. As your intern minister, my work with this fund gives me so much joy.
I'm authorized to approve up to $500 worth of payments out of this fund, and because of your generosity, I get to say yes. Yes, we can pay off that past due utility bill. Yes, we can cover your back rent. Yes to our partners at the City of Ashland, the Jackson County Fuel Commission, and Options for Homeless Residents of Ashland, who contact us many times a week, asking us to help folks who have these kind of needs. Those funds allow barriers that seem insurmountable in people's lives to just melt away.
The Minister's Discretionary Fund is used to help people in our community meet basic needs when they're not able to on their own. To donate, you can mail a check to Ruth at 87 4th Street, Ashland, Oregon, 97520. Be sure to put Minister's Discretionary Fund in the memo. You can also donate by visiting tinyurl.com/roofoffering. Choose Minister's Discretionary from the menu you see when you click the little black arrow, so that it looks like this. Thank you. If you need assistance from the Minister's Discretionary Fund, please get in touch. We want to help if we can. Let us sing. We Will Not Stop Singing by the Chapin Sisters, performed by the First Unitarian Brooklyn Choir.
We will not stop singing. We will not stop singing. We will not stop singing till the world can hear the song, till the world can sing along. We will not stop marching. We will not stop marching. We will not stop marching till the world can hear the song, till the world can sing along. Till the world can sing, till the world can sing, till the world sing along. Till the world can sing, till the world can sing, till the world can sing along.
We will not stop praying. We will not stop praying. We will not stop praying till we all can get along, till the world can sing our song. We will not stop shouting. We will not stop shouting. We will not stop shouting. Shouting right from wrong till the world can sing our song. Till the world can sing. Till the world can sing. Till the world can sing along. Till the world can sing. Till the world can sing. Till the world can sing along. We will not stop singing. We will not stop singing. We will not stop singing till the world can hear our song, till the world can sing along.
Our sharing this morning is Imagine, Create, Discover, a faith journey in 6 poems by Intern Minister Alison Duren-Sutherland.
Part of my role as a minister is to be like Frederick in our story, absorbing all the things of the world and, through imagination, distilling them into meaning that arrives just at the moment it is most needed. It doesn't always work that way, but that's the hope. Poetry and ministry are linked. Some of my favorite ministers are poets. I wrote a lot of poetry from the time I was in elementary school up through college. The muse visits me rarely these days, but when they do, I take notice. I've come to believe that the wellspring of creativity is divine, that when imagination wells up inside of me, it offers me a chance to take a sacred journey. As I bring my poetry to you so close to Brigid's Day of Imbolc, I see the hand of this ancestral goddess of the poetic imagination at work among us, and I am grateful. I have 6 poems to share today, the first of which was written about 20 years ago, the last just a few months back. As I reflect now, I see each of these poems represents a stepping stone on a journey toward the faith that has called me into its service, into your service in this moment.
Noah. Once there was a woman. She sat in the dark and wrote, though she could not write, "Will this rain never end?" And later, "This rain will never end." She kept the birds. They were the only ones that she could tell apart, the male and female. Later, no one talked about her, but it was she who released the female bird, who had cried and cried in the long dark. And when it returned, with a branch weighted down with ripe olives, although it was her husband who rejoiced and ate them and was talked about afterwards, she knew the lady dove returned with hope, out of love, for her alone.
I was brought up Christian, but I couldn't find a place for myself in all those stories about men. Men in the Bible, men in church history, men leading the church. I wrote this poem in mourning for a faith that didn't seem to have room for me as a woman. I ached for the divine feminine, but I hadn't found her yet.
Scene. I have been invisible to myself all this time, standing, an empty space at the edge of the room, waiting for someone else to speak. I have been invisible to myself, white, the color of snow that melts to water in the heat of the day and then evaporates, white, the crayon that will not show up on my paper. I have thought all this time that it was enough, that I did not write red words into hate, that I believed in blindness and was silent. I have been wrong. I am only as invisible as lies, as promises broken. I am less invisible than breath turned into language. Now I see that it must be me, shedding clear skins of ignorance, claiming my color, and reaching for the hands that have never been invisible to hate, not so they will haul me out of the silent well of bright invisibility, but so they can feel me. Grown tangible, grown pink with shame, I must release with my voice as I say these words. I am not invisible, and if I am silent, I am only dead weight, and any love I bear will be anchored, motionless, invisible. I have seen myself now, feet planted at the start of a long road toward truth spoken, truth drawn in color, truth that has been a gag in my mouth too long, that has choked women who will never be my friends because they have seen me and heard me say nothing.
I'm sure some of you are aware of the racist incidents that took place on the Southern Oregon University campus in Ashland last year. Graffiti featuring the N-word led to an outpouring of truth from students of color about their difficult experience at SOU and in Ashland. A nearly identical event took place 18 years earlier at my private women's college, Smith, in Northampton, Massachusetts. The stories the women of color told about their experiences at Smith at the community forum on the incident opened my eyes to the entirely different realities people experience of the same situation based solely on the color of their skin. The reactions the white women had to our Black and brown sisters' stories made me realize that when it came to race, I needed to listen and learn before I had anything helpful to contribute to the conversation. But also that I needed to get that learning done so that I could be part of helping other white folks see and believe that racism is real. I began unpacking my invisible knapsack, thanks to Peggy McIntosh, at a white privilege workshop offered at nearby Hampshire College that same year. This is work that I continue today, thanks to Starr King's School for the Ministry's commitment to educating to counter oppressions. This poem was my first reckoning with what it means to be white.
The love of God. You would like for God to stay upstairs. At parties, he or she who must not be named is always spilling wine on the tablecloth, and you sigh and wonder, is it boiling water from a height, as your friends roll out the barbed wire and make occasional advances across the soggy red no man's land, the kingdom of God you are trying to cover with your napkin. You find God embarrassing. The faithful bring God along to the grocery store, the sidewalk. Sometimes even they bring God to your door. But the looming presence of the divine would prevent your car from accelerating properly up hills, and you would have to sit the shopping bags on your own lap on the way home, or, God forbid, in the lap of God. In the secular sunlight, you pass the holy presence without speaking. But at home, alone, late sometimes at night or early, barefoot in your kitchen with a glass of water, God is with you, arms around your waist, the one your friends do not approve of. And you smile, loving God in spite of yourself, though you may feel foolish in the morning.
The year after I graduated from college, on the full moon, in a women's circle led by my midwifery teacher, I felt myself enveloped in an immense, boundless love, and faith in the goddess was born in my heart. In the years after, I wrestled with my fledgling faith among a community of peers who were not only atheist and agnostic themselves, but often derisive and belittling of those who did express religious faith. This poem embodies that struggle. Written in the second person, I put as much distance as I could between myself and the truth. I believed in something, a higher power, mysterious, greater than myself, greater than any one gender, and made of love.
Hawk Woman Prayer. Daughter, sister, mother goddess, I come to you in thanksgiving, my spine stretched out along your body, arms flung open to the sky. I receive your infinite blessings and am grateful. So it is. Daughter, sister, mother goddess, I come to you in supplication, my belly flat against your body, arms thrown out to embrace you. I ask your infinite blessing and am grateful. So it is. Daughter, sister, mother goddess, let the raptor live inside of me. Give my secret eye her sharp vision over great distance, that I may see my prize. Give my will her strong wings, her fearless dive, her sharp talons to grasp what is in my sights. Let my throat be open to release her scream of joy. You send her each day to visit me on the roadside wires, the fence-top perches wheeling in open sky. Now let me open to receive her spirit, so with her sight, strength, fearless sharpness, I may find the way that you would have me fly. And so it is.
With this poem, my faith journey has moved from Seattle to Southern Oregon, from solitary pagan to Unitarian Universalist, from learning about faith from a book to looking to the more than human world for divine wisdom. I have come to know myself as a woman of faith, and I call to the divine feminine to guide me in my journey. It wasn't long after I wrote this poem that the call to ministry became stronger than I could ignore.
A prayer for White Mountain Middle School in White City, Oregon, October 1st, 2019. Spirit of life, that is alive in every heart as the infinite potential that comes into the world with each child born, may we look into each other's eyes and see our beloved kin. May we love each child as our own. May we have the courage to face our children with the truth of history that is painful, so we can teach them to do better than the wrongs that have been done. You who are all freedom, all love, all justice, we ask your presence with us as we face these times of great challenge. That with the strength you give us, we may choose to learn from what is hard and painful, so that our children and their children and all children may live in the world with greater ease. May it be so.
In my first year of seminary, a black boy was called the N-word at White City's middle school. The racist language was dismissed by the school because, it's a word that's in a lot of songs. Not surprisingly, the name-calling continued. Finally, the black family went to the local press and I learned what was going on. Encouraged by Star King to take up the authority of the clerical caller to advocate for justice, I visited the school, attended public school board meetings and private meetings with district staff, spoke publicly on social media, and wrote letters to the editor. As a religious leader, I took up the work of anti-racism that our faith calls me from our very first principle. And then came COVID, and everything shifted.
A drink of water. What is here, under my hands only, has my focus, and it is shifting. Seeds pressed into soil wash the soil off my fingers. Here at the sink is the sponge and the plate streaked with jam. But out the window, the chicken's water is empty, and as I pass the greenhouse going out to fill it, the empty watering can reminds me I left the soil dry where I pressed the seeds. Step outside. A shift, a broadening, all the sky held in the bowl of trees, of houses, mountains in the distance, birds of every size fly in and through in all directions. The stream of my thought has slipped right on past whatever brought me here, but here I am, among irises and dandelions, garbage and new growth. Out here, I see what I was doing, and it was larger than any one task unfinished. I am binding myself to this land. If I knew how, I would plant myself as a seed in her body. Instead, I endeavor always to learn from her, grow closer to her. For now, the chicken and the seeds are thirsty. I guess I am too. We drink at her breast. That's what I was doing. I was getting us a drink of water.
It's been 10 months now of leaving this land that I call my home, mostly just for groceries, garden supplies, and the occasional hike when the elements allow. Even as my brain is fogged with the fallout of all the collective traumas of the past year, I see myself now adapting to our new normal. And in so doing, getting to the root of what faith is all about. Beginning to find ways to engage with the wider world while staying physically distanced, including serving this community and the rest of the Southern Oregon UU partnership. I want to find ways to braid together the strands of anti-racism, the strands of the divine earth's wisdom, with the strand of beloved community that we create together. Thank you for joining me on this journey. When I wrote Noah 20 years ago, I didn't know where the journey would take me, only that I must follow creative imagination wherever it led.
We are going, heaven knows where we are going, but we know within, and we will get there. Heaven knows how we will get there, but we know we will. It will be hard, we know, and the road will
Our closing words are from Imbolc, a poem by Caroline Mellor. I am the dream of awakening. I am the returning of the light. I am the tough green shoot pushing up through the pavestones. I am the first kiss of sunlight on the unfurling petals of the snowdrop. I am the wind, which whispers the gentle pull of home to the migratory bird. I am the drop of ice melting on the mountainside with its great dream of the ocean. I am hope, potential, rebirth, and promise. I am the kindling breath which transforms the flicker of inspiration in your creative core into a blazing torch. Give me the frost-hardened wilderness, and I will breathe radiant green life over it. Give me the healer, the writer, the craftsperson, and the storyteller, and I will replenish her essence and make her new again. I am the time to honor your unique gifts for their true worth, and to protect and nurture your creative self as you would a child. I am the deep longing of the spirit, which refuses to be consumed by a narrative of fear and chooses instead to place itself vivaciously on the side of love. I am the stirring in your belly which knows exactly what you are capable of, and that it's time the world found out. I am the fire within which will not be contained any longer. I am the quickening. I am the serpent uncoiling. I am Imbolc. I am the dream of awakening. You are invited to join us for Zoom Coffee Hour on Sundays at 11:30 a.m. Pacific. Visit our website to sign up for our mailing list and get details on how to join each week.